Good evening, traders. Zach here with the Trading Network. Hope you guys are doing well. It is Tuesday, May 18th, and I've got another daily market profile recap for you for both the ES and the NQ futures markets. So, as usual, let us get right into the trade plan, starting with our key levels first and foremost. I will flip over to the market profile, and we will go ahead and start with ES. So, the levels that I was looking at this morning on ES when I wrote my trade plan was first and foremost starting with the overnight high at 41.79. 41.79 is up here. You can see that this was essentially our high, and we had previous resistance here from the high from the regular trading hour session of the 14th, 16th into 17th, and of course the most recent the most recent Globex session, the 17th into 18th. So you can see we had the overnight high from the last two Globex sessions, and then that prior range high there. So very important level there. Second level was 41.68. 41.68 was the overnight POC. You can see we had some confluence from that previous profile, Monday's profile, if you will, right here from the high there at 41.67. So another important level. And you can see that my third level indeed was this level. So you could have considered this a zone to keep an eye out for. And of course, today we could not even make it above that zone. So below that level, I was looking at the overnight low at 41.56 right here. And last but not least, to the downside, I was looking at prior point of control. And as you can see, we got a flush down even further than that through yesterday's lows and even into the session from the May 13th regular trading hour session. So the first level that I was looking at on NQ, going over to the NASDAQ futures, I was looking at the overnight high once again at 13,432.25. You can see that right here. Second level I was looking at was the prior range high at 13,343. Third level was prior value area high at 13,302. And the fourth level was the overnight low at 13,290. Now, you can see that there was a fairly large gap between this level here and this level here, nearly 100 points. And that was because my thought process was if we could not move and hold above that overnight high, then it was very unlikely we were going to get any higher than that, and much more likely that we were going to come down and visit the prior high. So if you guys were looking at my trade plan and wondering why is that second key level so far away from the first one, now you know. So last level that I was looking at was the prior POC. Prior POC was all the way down here at 13,262. And that, again, got run through, and we moved very close to the lows from yesterday. And you can see that we moved past the lows from that May 14th session on NQ as well. So if I scroll down here, you can see that we had no high impact events today. We do have some coming up tomorrow, so that will be important to keep an eye out for. But for now, let's get into my pre-market analysis. So what I was looking for or looking at in regards to the profile structure was that overnight inventory was long on both ES and NQ. So you can see settlement is right here on ES 41.57. And for those of you new to the channel, for those of you new to market profile, we know that overnight inventory is long when the overnight price action or the overnight profile, as you see highlighted here, is entirely or a large majority above the settlement price from that previous regular trading hour session. So just to be very clear here, settlement at 41.57 and this overnight profile mostly above that. Flipping over to NQ, you can see that settlement was right here, 13,303, and overnight profile was right here. So about 95+% long. And when the overnight inventory is long, we have a higher probability of the New York session fading the overnight inventory or correcting the overnight inventory. So I think it's important to keep in mind, just as a general theme, that the market must remain in balance. Now, of course, we use the profile to show us when the market is out of balance, but price is mean reverting, which means that if price gets too extended, it will revert to the mean, okay? And that is something that is important to understand in regards to the market as a whole, which is why we look to take trades outside of balance back into balance, because it's a high probability trade. Those are cheap trades, for instance, down here out of value, and they are expensive trades up above value. So generally speaking, larger players are interested in buying when it's cheap, selling when it's expensive. So that goes for all markets. And the reason that these markets work so well, the reason that these markets will always remain efficient is because they are consistently balancing themselves. And that is something that is, I think, overlooked by a lot of traders and really not even understood how market efficiency works in general. So I could go on a very long tangent about that. I'll probably make some like separate videos or something along those lines to talk about that a little bit more. So I just want to put that out there. You know, the market is like a well-oiled machine. It is like a perfectly conducted symphony, if you will. So when you see the market get out of balance, understand that that's happening for a reason. There is liquidity that likely needs to be absorbed. And once that liquidity is absorbed, out of balance, out of value in most cases, then price will indeed revert back to balance, correct imbalanced inventory, and that's kind of where the tangent started, right? So when the overnight inventory is 100% or close to 100% long or short, that inventory needs to be corrected. The market needs to be rebalanced, if you will. And sometimes the market can stay out of balance for a while, but no, the longer the market stays out of balance, the stronger the correction will likely be, and the more impactful the reversion to the mean will likely be, if you will. So without going too much deeper into that tangent, let us get back into the analysis here. So you can see I said that we are also looking to open above range in value on both indices, which tells us there has been a change in sentiment, showing us currently that buyers are in control because of the long overnight inventory. With this said, because we were opening out of range in value, so this was range in value, okay? So if we zoom in here and we find O period, you can see we opened right above yesterday's high. When we open above range in value, that tells us there actually is a higher probability of trending price action. So that right off the bat, you can say, all right, well, if overnight inventory is long, the higher probability is for overnight inventory to get faded, to get corrected, right, to the downside. Now, if price opens outside of range in value, the higher probability is for price to be trending. Put those two together, the higher probability is for price to move into a downtrend, okay? And that is indeed what we saw throughout really mid-afternoon. I guess it was about, when did we really start that downtrend? I'd say about a little after lunchtime, 12:40 Eastern-ish. So I will flip back over here. This is what I'm talking about just to show you guys. Let's get rid of that. And I know I got a lot going on my charts here. This is a delta indicator, if you guys are wondering. And really, you can see that we failed to break back above this first upper deviation of VWAP here. And once we could not break above VWAP, we tried one more time, and we started to put in lower highs. So this told us that price was rejecting from previous levels. So you can see up here, this is the value area high from the May 16th into 17th Globex session, which ended up being today's high, right around 13,394, 395-ish. You can see that we had confluence from the most recent overnight value area high at 13,409, and we had a value area high from the 14th regular trading hour session at 13,410. So price could not move and hold above this level, and that is telling us that there was no larger players or higher time frame players or other time frame players, as Jim Dalton would say, interested in buying above the value area high from the last two overnight sessions. So that is very telling. When you see fierce rejection there, when you see price move up and even put in something like this, we actually have a small single print tail up there. So it shows you that there are fairly strong sellers up here. We visited this area, sellers no longer interested. It actually took us until after the initial balance. So this right here, from 13,300 basically up to 13,381, this is the opening 1 hour session. So it took us basically moving up to this first upper deviation of VWAP. We ranged very, very tightly for the first hour. You can see, you know, we were in an 80-point range essentially on NQ, and that is very, very tight for NASDAQ futures. So we broke that range a little bit after the initial balance, popped up. You can see this was E and F period, so right after the initial balance, we rejected. We have some poor structure that likely needs to be repaired up here. So I will look for a revisit of this area if we can get back in range tomorrow. And with that said, it's looking pretty bearish at the moment because we're struggling to get back above even this prior value area low from not today's session, but yesterday's session, 13,227. You can see current overnight high is 13,223. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys as well, and just make a note to say, or make a very important point, I should say, to just suggest that you guys understand market balance and how these things actually work. All right, so now that we got through that little bit of a tangent here, let's get into the rest of my analysis. So today I was looking at the overnight point of control on NQ as the line in the sand. You can see the overnight POC 13,350, and I was looking at 41.56 on ES as the line in the sand here, and that was the overnight low. So you can see this right here, line in the sand on ES, and this right here, line in the sand on NQ. So my thought was, if we can move and hold above those levels, I was going to look for a continuation of the long overnight inventory to the upside. And if we could not move and hold above that level, I was going to look for a move downwards back into the prior value area, both on ES and NQ. And that is indeed what we got. So we actually got a little bit lower than value area low from yesterday on NQ. And flipping to ES, you can see we got significantly lower than value area low on ES. And cool enough, same exact value area lows from yesterday's session and today's session to the tick. So that is going to be a very, very important level to move above and see what kind of reaction we get there. Another thing that I want to point out while I have the chart open is we have a naked point of control at 41.03. Now, we may test this level. We probably will, obviously, because we got only a point and a half above it. But it's very likely that we're going to test this level in the overnight. But that's not going to close the naked POC technically. The naked POC is going to be closed when we test this level in a regular trading hour session. So if we move up in the overnight, it's possible that we have, this looming naked POC here that we got very close to in the overnight. And that is a level that I would be looking towards if we cannot move back into range from today and hold above 41.20, basically. So you can see this right here, 41.23, 41.20, going to be a very important area to move and hold above if the bulls are going to take control once again. So let's scroll down. I will reiterate just my little bit of analysis here. Upon open, I was looking to see 41.56 hold on ES, and I was looking for 13.350 to hold on NQ. Again, ES, that was the overnight low, and on NQ, that was the overnight point of control. If we could hold those levels, I was looking for that upside continuation. We did not get that upside continuation. We got smacked down at these prior overnight value area highs, and we got a very, very fierce sell-off towards the end of the day, right into the lows of yesterday. All right, so now that we got the chart cleared off, let's get into the line in the sand and the targets, starting with ES. So line in the sand was 41.56. That was the most recent overnight low. And the first and only upside target that was hit on ES was the 41.6150 level. That was the previous overnight POC from the 16th into 17th Globex session. We moved up quickly, tested that level in the initial balance, and got fierce rejection on ES and never revisited that level again throughout the entire session. So it was bears in control. And with that said, let's get into the downside targets, starting with the 41.5050 level. 41.5050 was the POC from yesterday. That was our first level hit. That was also the only level hit in the initial balance. So we had to be a little bit patient after that first hour. We did indeed get that move down into 41.44, which is the initial balance low from yesterday's session. And again, for those of you new to the channel, for those of you guys new to market profile, the initial balance is the opening 1 hour range. So if you do not have access to the market profile yet, the way that you can watch the initial balance is simply plotting a line at the top of the opening 1 hour candle and at the bottom of the opening 1 hour candle. And to clarify, that opening 1 hour candle is the 9:30 a.m. Eastern to 10:30 a.m. Eastern candle. So with that said, we got that 41.44 level hit and swiftly moved right into the value area low from yesterday at 41.4150. And after the 41.4150 level was hit, which was the VAL from yesterday, we moved right down into the low from yesterday at 41.3650. Now, this was a level that I was interested in because we had a lot of confluence here, 41.38, 41.34, and 41.36. This zone here, if you will, was an overnight high, a regular trading hours low, and another regular trading hours low. So it was very important to watch reaction to that level, because when we lost that level, that kind of opened up the floodgates, if you will, down into this overnight session where we met our last trade plan target at 41.2475, and that was again the overnight point of control from the May 13th into May 14th session. So on the upside on ES, we only got 1 out of 5 upside targets hit, and on the downside, we did indeed get 5 out of 5 targets hit. So it was a very efficient market to the downside once we basically got our open test drive to the downside. And what I mean by that is the profile structure. So you can see that we got the open right here. We got the move up to test these prior levels. Overnight point of control, couldn't even get to this prior point of control or this prior range high, or the overnight point of control. Got swiftly rejected and moved right through all of these prior levels. And that's why we can really keep it simple when it comes to trading market profile, and using, a trade plan like mine is all you got to do is you got to watch the profile structure. You got to understand what that profile structure means, what implications that opening out of range and value has, an open test drive, what that has. That is for you guys new to profile. Again, open test drive is the second highest profile type of directional conviction. So the only higher profile open type is the open drive, where we literally open and then we drive in one direction. So when you see the open test drive, you know that we're very likely to have a high directional conviction move. When you know that we're opening outside of range and value or close to opening outside of range and value, you know that there's a higher probability of trending as well. And when overnight inventory is long, you know that there's a higher probability of New York fading the overnight and correcting that inventory. So you put those pieces of the puzzle together, and you pretty much have a picture painted showing us exactly what happened today. And of course, there's always the lower probability that can always play out. But when you have this information, it can make you so much more confident and calm in your trading that you don't really worry about losing, because you know that you have probability and significant edge on your side. So I know it's been a little bit since I posted a video. One of the reasons I'm going on a little bit more of a lengthy tangents and talking a bit more about my thoughts and feelings in regards to profile structure and how I use this stuff. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about this little bit of extra juice that I'm giving you guys. And if you would rather me just keep it short, sweet, and straight to the point with the trade plan and the profile levels, let me know. Or if you don't mind hearing me rant and discuss my thoughts and how I use this profile information to my advantage, definitely let me know in the comments. It really does help me out. So with that said, I won't take up too much more of you guys' time. Let's get right into the NQ trade plan or the NQ targets, and we will see how they unfolded. So line in the sand on NQ, 13,350. A little bit different on NQ because we did get the open in this area way down here, and we kind of operated in a range for the initial balance was very tight, as I mentioned, 80-point range. And then we continued to range or bracket back and forth until we eventually broke these overnight lows and held below them and had that flush towards the downside into these prior profile levels. So again, the upside targets on NQ were a little bit more active. So we did get 2 upside targets hit on NQ. First one being 13,362. 13,362 was the point of control from that May 14th regular trading hour session. The next upside target I was looking at was 13,378. 13,378 was actually the volume point of control from the overnight session, and I was very interested in the reaction to that level. And you can see that we did move up and test just a little bit above it in the initial balance, got pushed back down, eventually moved above it again, probed it, got rejected, and that's when we got that fierce selling pressure, when it was very clear that the other time frame players were not interested in pushing price up into the overnight highs. So 2 upside targets hit, the 14th point of control and the overnight VPOC from the most recent, that 17th into 18th Globex session. So on the downside, beneath 13,350, our first downside target was 13,343, just less than 10 points below that. That was yesterday's high. I thought that was an appropriate target, and 7 points on NQ, still not bad. So next target below that was 13,308. So I gave you guys a little bit more juice on that next move. That was the initial balance high from that May 14th session. Third downside target was 13,290. 13,290 was the overnight low. Again, had to be a little bit more patient to get that 13,290 level hit. But if you could wait after that initial balance, after that first hour of the session, well, floodgates opened on NQ as well, and there was a lot of downside pressure if you could let that momentum be at your back. So the second to last downside target, as you guys can see here, 13,262, that was a naked point of control. And you can see that this was essentially extended the entire way across the chart. And until price comes down and touches this naked point of control, it is extended. So because we came down, touched 13,262 today in the regular trading hour session, that's why you can see this point of control stops right here, because that's when it was tested. So let me see, I don't have enough data loaded, but I will show you guys another example of what a naked point of control looks like. I believe we have one on ES down here. Yep, we do right here. So you can see right here, POC from the 13th is still all the way extended to the end of the chart because we have not touched this level in a regular trading hour session, and that's why I mentioned it a little bit earlier. So last downside target hit was 13,227. 13,227 was a level that I was looking at from yesterday's regular trading hour session. That was the value area low from yesterday, and that was the final target hit. Now, of course, we did get a bit lower into the lows from the 14th. We got into the initial balance from the 13th. Didn't quite get into the overnight point of control from that 13th into 14th Globex session. But we had a lot of downside opportunity if you were able to say, all right, behavior is changing when the overnight low is breaking and we can't get back above it. That's when I need to start looking towards a short opportunity. So all in all, if we were able to stay conscious of the market environment, follow the trade plan, and stick to our edge, there was immense opportunity really on both sides. You could take longs in the initial balance, scalping the range, and once the overnight lows broke, go short. Hold that short until we move through those profile levels and show a local low, higher lows, things like that, change of behavior. So that is pretty much the story for today. We got a little bit of upside push. We got rejected once we, on NQ, got into the value area high region of the overnight. And on ES, we couldn't even get above the value area low of the overnight session, which is pretty bearish, fairly alarming, I will say. So I hope that you guys took a lot out of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, again, little tangents that I went on. If you guys do enjoy what you see, please feel free to like and subscribe down below and leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Again, I really, really do appreciate it. If you guys would like to learn more about joining the trading network or what we do in our private community, please check out the links in the description below. You can first and foremost find a link to our free public Facebook group where I release these trade plans on a daily basis right here, Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time in our Facebook group. In addition to our free Facebook group, you can also check out our website, thetradingnetwork.io, in the description below, where you can learn more about one-on-one mentorship with me. I offer 4-week mentorship programs, 10-week mentorship programs, and a few other varying lengths. These are customized programs where I work with traders one-on-one many times on a daily basis. So we'll have a daily Zoom call, an hour session after every trading session where I will help traders review their trades. I will give them critiques. I will show you how to trade my strategies and really let you pick my brain and show you exactly how I have a recipe for success, and I repeat that recipe on a daily basis. You can also learn more about joining our private Discord group where I trade live daily, Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. You can learn more on our website about the Trading Network Proprietary Indicator Package, which you have seen a little bit of today in this video. And last but not least, you guys can also learn more about the Fundamentals of Futures Trading course, which is our comprehensive course that goes over multiple strategies for varying market conditions. I also discuss trading mindset techniques. You can watch me trade in real time and break down my trade setups A to Z with clear, concise directions about particular strategies, trending versus ranging strategies, for instance. And this will give you guys essentially, structure to follow. A lot of traders understand how to use indicators, but they don't have structure. They don't have strategies. You need a playbook, and you need to know what plays to use in the proper market environment. So that is what I teach in the fundamentals of futures trading. If you guys are interested in learning more, please check out the links in the description below. You can also shoot me an email. You can also hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, anywhere you can find me. I am more than happy to help you guys out any way I can and answer any questions to help you guys understand what we offer a little bit better. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this content. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.